Hey guys, welcome back. Before I get into the topic of this video, I'd like to make a brief mention of something in my last video. As you all know, in my last video, I talked about a game called Infamous Warzone. There was an article found on the Infamous Wiki that detailed this game and said it was going to release in early 2017. After posting that video, I received quite a few comments that the article was written on the Fanon Wiki. I don't visit the Infamous Wiki that often, and I had no idea what the Fanon Wiki was until after I made that video. Turns out, the Fanon Wiki is actually just a subpage of the Infamous Wiki where fans can get together and make fanfiction, theories, ideas, and discuss what they'd like to see in the next game. Had I known about the Fanon Wiki before making that video, I would not have even made the video in the first place, because that would automatically discredit everything in the article as being real. Now that we know it was a fanfiction, and we know it was made a fanfiction on purpose, I'm going to remove that video since now it serves no purpose. This is not some kind of vague apology video. I'm just saying that we know it was fan-made, we know it was on the Fanon Wiki page. There's no reason for the video to stay up. That being said, in today's video, I'm going to talk about my ideas for the infamous Second Son sequel that I mentioned back in my next chapter video. If you haven't seen that, pause this video right now, go watch that one in its entirety, then come back. You will have a much better understanding of what I am talking about. Alrighty, so these are just my ideas for the next Infamous game. None of this is confirmed, none of it is real, but if I was designing the game based on the intel we've gotten from Paper Trail, this is how I would do it. The game would start out with a black screen. You would begin to hear some vague noises in the background. You get the idea that two people are fighting. Then you would see some very quick flashes of images across the screen. I'm going to leave a link on the screen right now and in the description to a scene from Arrow. This scene describes how I would want the beginning of the game to go. It would be as though you're in a dark room, and every time the conduits use their powers, it would light up the room for a split second. You wouldn't be able to see what was going on in detail, but you would get the idea that two conduits were fighting it out. The scene would end with Delsin grabbing a conduit's hand and draining their powers. You wouldn't see what conduit it is or what power it is, you would just see a quick flash of Delsin grabbing a conduit's hand. After that, the scene would fade in from black. The camera angle would be above the door of a D.U.P battle arena, and the camera would be looking out into the battle arena itself. It would then pan down, and you would see Delsin get thrown into the arena on his back. The camera angle would then change to behind Delsin's shoulder, where you would see two D.U.P guards standing there looking at him. The guards turn around, walk through the door closes, and then you hear a distorted voice say,
"Come on, let's see what you can do."
Delsin gets up, the camera angle switches to third person. This is now the tutorial mission. This gameplay mechanic is part of the Infamous franchise and has been around in nearly every game ever since the beginning. It wouldn't feel the same without it. However, in this opening scene, Delsin would be using Celia's paper powers. This would provide each player, both old and new, with a new experience into the game. If you're a new player, of course, you'd need the tutorial to find out how to play the game, but if you're an old player and you've been around for a while, you would be using a new power, so everybody would get to have a new experience with this opening tutorial sequence. After completing the tutorial and defeating various waves of D.U.P holograms created willingly by Eugene this time, you would enter another cutscene. Delsin would walk towards the door would open, and Celia would step out wearing her own style of D.U.P outfit. She would look at Delsin and say something along the lines of, "Not bad, but I can still do it better." This is all I have for the opening sequence right now. If you have any criticisms or ideas to add, please tell me in the comments. I'd love to know. Now on to my next idea. This next idea takes place a little farther down the road in the game. I'm going to detail the factions and the karmic paths with this idea. I believe at this point the game would take place during the good ending of Second Son. I believe that the good karmic path is going to rest with Celia and the D.U.P. The evil karmic path is going to rest with the military. My reason for this is that during the end of Paper Trail in Second Son, especially if you were good Delsin, he mentioned that,
"Celia, I hate to think I had a hand in making you what you are, but if I ever find you, I will correct that mistake."
This would allow Delsin to be some sort of a mentor to Celia, guiding her decisions in a good way, giving everybody a second chance. If you also remember in Paper Trail, Celia said,
"You showed everyone that we're done being locked away. And if anyone should be hiding, it's them."
A lot of people took this as meaning that she's going to attack normal citizens, that the normal citizens should be scared. I happen to believe that she's talking about the military. The military were the ones who started this mess. They were the ones who treated conduits like the threat. They were the ones who wanted to kill conduits and eradicate them from the gene pool. If anybody should be scared, it's the ones who have terrorized conduits and caused them all this mischief for the past 7, 8, hell, maybe even 9 years. So the good karmic path would be joining with Celia, giving everybody, both conduits and normal humans, a second chance at regular, normal, free life. The evil path would be joining with the military. The military would be the oppressive regime. They would have concentration camps set up all over the city. They would be throwing people into these camps, separating out the normals and the conduits, with the end goal being to, of course, eradicate the conduits from the city, erasing them from the gene pool, as was the military's original goal before Augustine stepped in and started to protect them. This is where a lot of the details start to shine through with my idea. Evil Delsin would be trying to stop Celia, since he's power-hungry and doesn't want anybody or anything to stand in his way. But trying to go after the D.U.P. while you already have the military trying to kill you is just too much of a hassle. Delsin decides that he's going to get the military off his back. There are multiple military outposts throughout the city. After gaining some intel on the whereabouts of the commander of the military operation, Delsin storms one of these outposts, killing hundreds of military soldiers as he works his way to the building of operations. Delsin then confronts the commander in a cutscene very similar to this one from AC4. He begins to walk around the commander and starts talking to him with his arrogant, cocky attitude. He tries to convince the commander that the military needs the help of a conduit in order to defeat Celia. He says something along the lines of, "You're out here trying to fight a conduit with normal men and firearms. That's really pathetic. I mean, look what I did to your platoon outside. Imagine what I could do to them. Imagine what you could do to them with my help. Of course, in the end, it's your decision, but if you decline my offer, you're going to be bringing a lot more men home in body bags." Delsin tries appealing to the commander's desire for ending the war and victory over conduits. As an incentive to keep Delsin's help, Delsin demands that every conduit captured by the military is brought before him so he can drain the conduit's power. After he has the power, he doesn't care what the military does. Many of the conduits will most likely be executed, but evil Delsin doesn't care. He just wants the power. Whereas good Delsin would team up with Celia and he would track down the conduits himself. He would try to gain their trust personally and convince them to give him their power in order to help Celia and the D.U.P. stop the military and return life in the city back to normal. I know this might seem like lack of consequence for your karmic actions, since you'd be getting the same powers no matter which path you took, but I feel like you could restrict players with the upgrades to those powers rather than the power sets themselves. But back to what I was saying. Delsin would act as if he was giving the military help to stop Celia and win the war. What he would actually be doing is using the military to help him defeat Celia and advance his own personal agenda. Near the end of the game, after defeating Celia and the D.U.P., the military would then betray Delsin and attempt to kill him, since they no longer have a use for him. Delsin, being the evil bastard that he is, would see this coming from a mile away and attack them right back. He would go on a massive slaughter spree, killing any military soldier in his sight as he works his way back to the command post. He would then publicly, brutally murder the commander in front of everyone, as an example to those who even think about messing with him. This would leave the military in shambles, allowing the player to go through the entire rest of the game, hunting down each and every last outpost, and wiping the city clean of military presence. Of course, because the military and D.U.P. would be butting heads directly, you would have the return of turf wars. You guys remember those from Infamous 1 and 2, where the factions would fight each other on the street? Yeah, those would come back bigger and better. You would also have the return of abductions. You would have the military on the street interrogating citizens and throwing citizens into the back of transport trucks as they take huge convoys to concentration camps. Good Delsin could stop these convoys and rescue the people inside, whereas evil Delsin would just ignore the convoys, or if you wanted to attack them and kill everybody inside just for the fun of it, you could. Kind of like how Darth Vader just kills his own men for no good reason. I mean, why the hell not, right? This game would also feature the option to respawn all the enemy outposts after completing the story. This would leave the player with something to do without having to restart the whole game just to blow shit up. So there you have it, guys. Those are all my ideas for the infamous Second Son sequel. If you have any criticisms, anything to say, any ideas you want to add, please go ahead and voice it off in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I've spent a lot of time redesigning that page and adding some new rewards, just changing things up a bit. So go look at it and give me some feedback. Tell me if you like the rewards, if you want to see different rewards, if they're too expensive for you. That page is for you guys, and I want you to feel satisfied with what you're paying for. So go take a look and tell me what you think. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to share this video with all your friends, like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more content like this. I'll catch you all later.